morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, August 25th. Markets are coming off a Powell pop this morning following a spike in stocks to end last week, thanks to renewed hopes of an interest rate cut. All three major indices posted strong gains in what ended up being a mixed week on Wall Street. The Dow hit record territory, jumping 846 points, or about 1.9%. The S&P 500 climbed 96 points, or more than 1.5%. The Nasdaq advanced 396 points, 1.88%. Bill, let's get into a new week and Monday with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We are seeing some profit taken. We're moving low. We're down about 0.3% this morning, 0.28% to be exact. Listen, the market really rallied on Friday, based on those comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole event, where he was very dovish, and in turn, markets are pricing a 25 basis point cut by the Fed in September, which is next month, and again in December. So that's positive for the markets. President Trump, he's going to be meeting with South Korea president today. They're going to be talking about the trade agreement, regional security in the area. But on Friday, Trump said he's going to be launching a major tariff investigation into the furniture imports coming into the United States. He reiterated it again today. Over the weekend, he called for the FCC to revoke the broadcasting licenses of ABC and NBC, accusing them of, making disparaging comments about him. I don't think this is going to happen, but the power of the president is extremely strong, and if he takes away the broadcasting licenses of organizations of ABC and NBC, I think that would cause the market to really be concerned. Key data point for the week is going to be Friday's PC report. Hey, the week ahead, we got a lot of key earnings announcements coming out, Emily. We got a lot of key ones: PVH, Abercrombie & Fitch, A&F, Williams-Sonoma, WSM, Five Below, FIVE, Snowflake, SNOW, CrowdStrike, CRWD, NVIDIA, NVDA, Best Buy, BBY, Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS, Marvell, MRVL, Dell, DELL, Autodesk, ADSK, and Alibaba, BABA on Friday. So there's a lot of earnings to pay attention to this week, and high quality names. In terms of the markets, we're taking a look over at Europe, and Europe is kind of trading slightly lower. We got the DAX down 0.19% this morning. What can I say? Traders are kind of waiting for some details of the US-EU trade agreement, particularly in the pharmaceutical sector. London, the FTSE is closed today for a national holiday. The CAC is down 0.65%. The EU-European trade agreements in focus, and as well as some concerns over the economic outlook in France, kind of weighing on that market this morning. Turning our attention over to Asia. Last night in Asia, generally saw gains. We got the Nikkei up 0.41%, with technology stocks leading the leg higher. Then we got the Hong Kong exchange, the Hang Seng rose 1.94%. Financial shares, property stocks, consumer stocks, they all moved higher. Now, Shanghai is scrapping property taxes for eligible first home buyers and easing purchase limits in suburban areas, which is positive for those sectors. In China, the Shanghai finished higher by 1.51%. It's really the easing of U.S. tensions and those dovish comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell that really sparked that market again last night, Emily. Turning our attention over to oil this morning, and oil is oil's showing gains again. We're showing gains of more than 0.5%. Geopolitical concerns in focus overnight. Ukraine launched a drone attack on a nuclear power facility in Russia. The talks between Russia and Ukraine, the peace talks, they're kind of going off the rails. I don't think they're going to happen. And so that's kind of leading to oil prices ticking higher this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, underneath this umbrella of anticipating a rate cut, as you mentioned, there's a lot of other market moving details and catalysts to be keeping track of today and throughout the week. Of course, we want to keep a finger on the pulse of all this economic data that's going to be coming out between now and the next Fed meeting. And another area where there's plenty of data to be watching is earnings action. As you pointed out, some big companies that Wall Street is anticipating this week. So let's start there. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
You got to talk about ticker PDD, Paul David. That's PDD Holdings. They delivered a nice revenue beat this morning. You look at the stock; it's up over 3% this morning, trading strong. Upcoming after the bell, you get Symantec, SMTC, Sam Michael Tom Charlie. EPS is 40 cents. Expected move is 17.81%. And tomorrow morning, you got ticker BEKE, Boy Edward Kilo Edward. This is KE Holdings. Their EPS is 22 cents. Expected move is 7.88% when they release tomorrow morning, Emily.
Along with that data, as we pointed to, you are also keeping track of economic events and, of course, Fed speak. On Friday, as we both mentioned, commentary from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell really sent the markets higher. So there's really no doubt that keeping track of Fed speak can be very important as we're still digging for clues on what may happen next. There is some Fed speak as well today. So, Bill, give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to the day's economic events.
10 a.m. you get new home sales. 10:30 a.m. you get the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Survey. 3:15 p.m. we're going to be hearing from Dallas Fed Bank President Lori Logan. But at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to hear from John Williams, the president of the New York Fed. And his comments could be interesting, and they'll likely echo the sentiment that Powell made on Friday. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update, Emily.
Along with those economic events and earnings action, you're still keeping track of more news, data, and information using your NewsWare. You're breaking it down into alerts to follow things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. Every morning, you're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 10 higher, I got 19 lower, and 1 unchanged on my Dow stocks this morning. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Google's flat, but everything else is flat to higher. Everything else is ticking lower. You look at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple. They're said to be in talks with Google on using Google's Gemini AI model to power a revamped version of their voice assistant Siri. Positive for Google. I mean, then you got Amazon. Amazon's lobbying the Indian government to exempt exports from foreign investment rules. And we're going back to Google because, their new Pixel phone, it said that it's going to be announced. I think it's Pixel 10 is going to be announced on Wednesday. And the reviews are very strong. Looks like they could give Apple a run for their money with this new phone. In terms of Tesla, we're talking Elon Musk, and we're talking SpaceX. He called off the Starship Flight 10 test launch that was scheduled to occur. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we got to talk Disney. Disney owns ABC. Comcast owns NBC, and President Trump is calling on the FCC to revoke broadcasting licenses of these two firms. Not good for either one of these companies. Coca-Cola, ticker KO, Kilo Oscar, they're exploring the potential sale of Costa Coffee. Boeing, ticker BA, they're in talks scheduled. They have talks scheduled today regarding that ongoing strike of the IWM members in St. Louis. That deal will be finished soon, and the market's pricing in a little bit too much negativity on it, but that deal will be resolved shortly. In terms of merger news, we've got to talk KDP, Kilo, David Paul, Keurig, Dr. Pepper. They're going to be acquiring JDE Peet in an $18 billion deal. Thomas Bravo is planning to acquire call center software maker Verint Systems for about $2 billion, I see this morning. In terms of catalyst calls going on, Stars, Constellation Brands, STZ, Sam Tom Zebra. Citibank opened up a 30-day negative catalyst watch on the stock. STZ, Sam Tom Zebra. That's what I have for you about news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. But what do you have for us to kick off a new week?
Ticker BEKE, Boy Edward Kilo Edward, KE Holdings. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is 22 cents. Expected move is 7.88%. Friday's call volume, 5,928 versus put volume of 3,414. Open interest is 276K to 119K. That's more than 2 to 1. Well, major brokers are positive on the stock. They have been lowering price targets, but they still have strong ratings on the stock. So that, that makes me feel good. But I got to get in at the right entry price. I got to get in under 19. I mean, the stock's trading 1938 to 1946. It did hit a high at $20, over $20 this morning, but I think it's going to weaken today. You get the S&Ps, pointing negative, so I that supports the conclusion of being able to get in a little lower price. I want to get in under $19. My target price is $18.50. For BEKE, Boy Edward, Kilo Edward. But that's my pick of the day today, Emily.
KE Holdings on an earnings play today, Bill, sort of a more traditional earnings play. On Friday, you had a pick of the day that was sort of a peripheral earnings play. And coming up, we will do a recap on that before we sign off. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay. CarMax launches new Wanna Drive brand positioning tagline. Ticker IREN, India, Richard, Edward, Nancy. They're buying an additional 4.2K NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. Dillard's Department Store, DDS, they're buying a mall in Longview, Texas. They're paying $34 million for it. JP Morgan to settle $330 million to settle claims that they facilitated transactions in the 1MBD scandal. Yeah, I'm sure they facilitated it. That's kind of what they do. Biogen, BAIB, they're going to be launching their Alzheimer's drug in Austria and Germany after receiving EU approval in April. Starbucks, the company is set to reduce weekly production at its 5 U.S. coffee roasters and packaging facilities by 2 days starting in January. That's not good. Home Depot announces extension of its tender offer to acquire GMS. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into another week of trading, let's take a quick look back on Friday and your pick of the day, which was JD.com. Now, you made this pick knowing that PDD was going to be releasing their earnings this morning. As you told us, they did post a revenue beat. That stock is still up about 2.5% at last check, around $129, but jumped as high as $141.99. That was earlier this morning. So with JD.com, it was a sector play. You were, hoping for the 31.20 area. That stock is also up this morning. So doing what you expected it, trading higher along with PDD. Bill, how did your call work out?
Worked out stellar. I mean, look at the facts. Stock opened up $31.31. Then it fell down to $31.20, which is kind of what I was looking for. And then it ran and hit a high of $31.96 before closing out at $31.88. And then you had the earnings of PDD, which kind of benefit. And you had the positive momentum in the Chinese market overnight. And you look at JD.com this morning, and it's up another 1.57% to $32.38. It's already hit a high of $32.74. So JD.com, that was a big winner on Friday, Emily.
Did just as you expected, Bill, and we will check in with you tomorrow about KE Holdings pick of the day. See if that goes as expected. We thank you, Bill, as always, for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.